Here's a question nobody asks at the grocery store, but they should. What's the difference between the $2 bottle of vinegar on aisle 7 and the one that costs $250? Both contain acetic acid and water. Technically, case closed. Except, that's like saying a beaten-up secondhand moped and a $1 million Ferrari are the exact same thing because they both run on gasoline. Most people think vinegar is just acid, a sharp, sour liquid good for pickles. The end. But if you stop there, you're missing one of the most fascinating stories in all of food. Today, we have 12 vinegars for distinct families. We are pulling them from wooden barrels in Modena, Italy, pouring them from clay pots in Shanxi, China, splashing them from sherry casks in Jerez, Spain, and grabbing a cheap plastic jug from Walmart. Your palate is about to go on the trip of a lifetime. Let's begin. Before we dive in, let's look at a fundamental contrast. On one side, distilled white vinegar, crystal clear, no color, no sediment, just pure acetic acid and water, the chemical equivalent of vinegar. On the other side, everything else we're about to talk about, amber, ruby, black, and gold. Syrup thick, smoky, nutty, and sweet. Industrial vinegar pursues perfect purity. It intentionally strips out everything that isn't acetic acid. No character, no origin, no story, and that's exactly what makes it boring. What the modern industry calls impurities, the anthocyanins from grapes, the amino acids from rice, the phenols from sherry, are exactly what nature calls complexity. They are the fingerprint of a specific place, a specific fermentation, and a specific moment in time. Today, we're not just choosing a souring agent. We're choosing a history. Let's start with the one most people have heard of and the one wellness influencers swear by, apple cider vinegar. People drink it diluted in water first thing in the morning or take it in shots for a detox. Fine, but doing only that completely misses the point. The real stage for ACV is the kitchen. In marinades, it gently tenderizes protein. In salad dressings, it brings a softer, fruitier acidity than lemon juice, with that signature apple aroma underneath. And if you buy the unfiltered, cloudy kind, with that cobweb-like sediment at the bottom called the mother, that's live bacterial culture. Real, active acetobacter. Shake the bottle before you use it. Don't pour it down the drain. ACV is the friendly everyman of specialty vinegars. But if ACV is the everyman, then balsamic vinegar from Modena, Italy, is the absolute royalty. It is also the most misunderstood ingredient in the world. Why? Because two entirely different products share this exact same name. The first is your supermarket balsamic, often labeled balsamic vinegar of Modena. This is just mass-produced grape juice mixed with standard wine vinegar, colored with caramel, and sold for $3 next to the olive oil. It's thin, sharp, and highly acidic. The second is traditional balsamic vinegar, DOP. And this is something else entirely. Real traditional balsamic is made from only one ingredient, specific grape must from the Trebbiano and Lambrusco varieties grown in Modena. No added wine vinegar, no caramel color, no shortcuts. The process is brutal. The grape juice is cooked down in open copper kettles until its volume drops by half. Then, it is transferred to a sequence of wooden barrels that get progressively smaller. It starts in juniper, moves through mulberry, chestnut, oak, and finally cherry. Each wood adds its own flavor compounds. Each year concentrates the liquid further. The minimum age for DOP certification is 12 years. The finest examples go 25 years or more. At 12 years, it's dense. At 25, it's practically a syrup. It doesn't pour, it cascades. A few drops on a dish, and the entire plate transforms. The price? A genuine, certified bottle costs about $250. It's not a condiment. It's a treasure. Speaking of long aging, let's look at Spain's national treasure, sherry vinegar or Vinagre de Jerez. It's made from fortified sherry wine using the Solera system. a complex method where younger wine is systematically blended with older wine across decades. When that sherry converts to vinegar, that incredible layering carries through. By law, it must be aged in oak for at least 2 years, but the good ones go much longer. The flavor profile is extraordinary, a distinct nuttiness from the sherry base, deep woody notes from the oak, and a subtle smokiness, almost like an Islay Scotch, from the phenols in the wine itself. Spaniards use it to deglaze pans and bright up marinades. But the British discovered something truly magical, sherry vinegar paired with fish and chips. Not malt vinegar, sherry vinegar. The nutty, smoky, complex acid cutting through crispy, battered fried fish is a combination that dates back to the 16th century. And it still works perfectly today. Now, let's talk about the literal backbone of European cooking, red and white wine vinegar. The foundational acids that every serious cook reaches for. Red wine vinegar retains the tannic structure, depth, and body of the original red wine. It's what you want for a heavy reduction sauce after searing meat, or a robust vinaigrette for hearty greens. White wine vinegar is lighter, crisper, and more direct, essential for delicate quick pickling or balancing a homemade mayonnaise. But here's the rule. If you open a bottle of wine vinegar and it hits you with a sharp, one-dimensional wall of pure acid and nothing else, that is an industrially accelerated product made in weeks instead of months. A proper wine vinegar should taste like wine, minus the alcohol, plus the acid. Complexity that lingers. And the most refined member of the wine family? Champagne vinegar. Made from grapes in the Champagne region, its defining trait is extreme gentleness. The acidity is absolutely there, but it is civilized, round, and approachable. It's the vinegar of choice when you want to elevate a delicate dish, like raw oysters, ceviche, or a subtle seafood marinade, without loudly announcing its presence. Now, let's leave Europe and head to China, where vinegar culture runs just as deep, but moves in a completely different direction. Here, vinegar isn't just about fruit and acid. It is about umami, that deep, savory richness that makes Asian cooking taste alive. The star player has two completely different personalities. First, Zhenjiang aromatic vinegar from southern China. Made from glutinous rice, its secret lies in solid-state fermentation. The grains are fermented as a solid mass, not a liquid. This creates a vastly richer profile, acidic but never sharp, with a distinctive, deep sweetness underneath. That sweetness isn't added sugar. It is the natural result of fermentation creating umami-rich amino acids. Its absolute most famous pairing is Zhejiang Shanghai soup dumplings. The rich vinegar cuts straight through the pork broth and amplifies every hidden flavor. If Zhenjiang vinegar is an elegant dance, then Shaanxi aged vinegar from northern China is a heavyweight boxing match. Made with sorghum as its base, it undergoes a grueling aging process that locals describe as a summer sun exposure, winter ice fishing. The massive ceramic vats are left out under the blazing summer sun to evaporate and concentrate the liquid. In the winter, they literally skim the surface ice off to remove excess water and intensify the flavor. The best Shaanxi vinegars are aged for at least 3 to 5 years. The color is deep, almost pure black, and the flavor is powerful, pungent, and assertively acidic. Think about the parallel. Italian balsamic takes decades in wooden barrels. Shaanxi black vinegar takes years in ceramic pots under the raw sun. Completely different techniques, exactly the same philosophy. Time itself is the primary ingredient. For the lighter, day-to-day duties in the Asian kitchen, we turn to classic rice vinegar. Clear to pale yellow with a very gentle acidity. It's essential across China, Japan, and Korea. In China, plain rice vinegar is used for quick pickling vegetables and providing the clean sour balance in sweet and sour dishes. But in Japan, the rice vinegar used for sushi rice is typically seasoned rice vinegar. It is pre-blended with salt and sugar before it ever touches the grain. If you've ever wondered why sushi rice tastes so balanced, this is why. It's incredibly soft, engineered to complement raw fish without overwhelming it. If you use a sharp Chinese rice vinegar on sushi rice, it will fight the fish instead of partnering with it. Finally, the one that brings the color, Zhejiang red rice vinegar. It gets its beautiful ruby red color from red yeast rice. But that yeast doesn't just add color. It contributes a subtle, earthy, almost mushroom-like depth underneath the mild acidity. It is slightly sweeter than plain rice vinegar and serves as the iconic dipping sauce for wontons or a finishing touch for red braised dishes, where its vibrant color is part of the visual joy. Now, let's talk about the vinegar that Britons would gladly defend with their lives, malt vinegar. The undisputed soul of British fish and chips. Malt vinegar is made from malted barley, the exact same grain used to brew beer. The malting process converts the barley's starches into fermentable sugars, which become alcohol, and finally, acetic acid. The result is a vinegar with a heavy, pronounced malty flavor, a slight beer-like bitterness, and a savory roundness no other vinegar possesses. It isn't just sour, it's deeply savory. This is why it pairs so perfectly with fried food. The malt depth matches the heavy fried batter, and the slight bitterness cuts straight through the oil. Salt, fat, acid, malt, all in 2 bites. Its newer, trendier cousin is beer vinegar. Popularized alongside the craft beer movement in Germany and Austria, it's made by letting acetobacter directly ferment actual craft ales or lagers. The good ones retain the exact hop bitterness, yeast character, and malt backbone of the specific beer used. It's incredible in rich marinades for beer-braised brisket. And finally, we arrive at the ultimate minimalist, distilled white vinegar, the one that strips vinegar down to its bare chemical essence. To make it, grain alcohol is distilled until it removes absolutely all flavor compounds, coming out essentially like pure vodka. Then, water is added back, and bacteria fermented into vinegar. No fruit, no grain character, no wood influence, and no time required. Just pure acetic acid and water. It costs almost nothing and comes in giant gallon jugs. It is sharp, aggressive, and completely unforgiving. It has no depth, no complexity, and no story. Because of that, it is almost never used as a primary cooking vinegar, unless you are mass pickling at an industrial scale where cost matters more than character. But in the kitchen, it is the undisputed king of cleaning. Descaling a kettle? White vinegar. Removing mineral deposits from a faucet or wiping down windows. White vinegar. It is the one job where pure, cheap, brutal acetic acid is exactly what you need. So, 11 vinegars. For distinct families. We started with a simple question. What is the actual difference between a $2 vinegar and a $250 one? Both contain acetic acid. Both are technically vinegar. But the expensive one represents a specific place, a specific fruit or grain, a specific climate, and an incredible stretch of time. It represents a centuries-old craft passed down through generations. Industrial vinegar treats purity as the ultimate goal. It gives you transparency and acetic acid in a bottle. But in doing so, it strips away everything that makes vinegar worth caring about. It strips away the anthocyanins that give balsamic its syrupy depth, the phenols that give sherry its smoky soul, and the amino acids that give Chinese black vinegar its savory backbone. Vinegar isn't just a condiment. Vinegar is terroir. Vinegar is fermentation. Vinegar is time. Next time you are standing in the grocery store, looking at that overwhelming row of bottles on aisle 7, you now know you aren't just choosing something to make your salad sour. You are choosing a place. You are choosing a history. Now you know what's in that bottle. Now you know what to buy.